Kathe Koja. I'm going to read to you today, and I'm going to get quickly to reading because there is a schedule, and people will want to use this room when we're done. I'm reading from my new book that's called Under the Poppy, and Under the Poppy is a departure for me in almost every way. It's historical fiction, which I've never written before. It's a romance novel, which I've never written before. It's the longest thing I've ever done. So it has been an adventure for me in every way, and I have been so excited. It's just now coming out. Greg Ketter, fortunately, was able to get books here at the convention. It was just printed. I got to go see. I went to the printer, who are geographically contiguous to me, and I got to actually see the books, you know, leaving the. That was pretty hot, I have to say. I was pretty excited. This is my 14th book, and I've never seen how a book comes into being before. So that was pretty sexy. I liked it a lot.
Did you video it?
I wasn't able to. They run 3 shifts at this printer, and I wasn't able to be there on the physical moment that they were leaving the. But she took pictures for me, and I took pictures of the process itself. So, and I had like a million pictures. I was going to put them all on my blog, and then I realized it's kind of like baby pictures. A couple, it's plenty. Nobody needs to see. And then it was here, and then it was here. Look, there it is over here. So, but it has been pretty much a joy from beginning to end with this book. I've been so excited to do something different and to have it received as well as it has been so far. So what I'm going to read to you real quickly, the setup is Under the Poppy is a Victorian era brothel, and it's kind of a brothel on the wrong side of the tracks. And one of the things they specialize in there is kind of costuming, or you can come in and sort of request people to act out your fantasy with you, you know, if you're willing to pay for that. And into this, the brothel is run by Rupert and Decca, who have known each other since they were children. Decca has a thing for Rupert. Rupert has a thing for Decca's brother, with whom he has had a falling out, but now that guy Istvan is back in town. And Istvan is a puppeteer. He has brought his puppets into the brothel milieu, and the fun has started to happen. Okay. It would be good to have a fire here, even just a grate and 3 coals, anything to keep the stiffness from his fingers. Carving is a devil of a business. One slip and the whole head is ruined. Swearing softly and happily, Istvan repositions himself beneath the ceiling straying light, planing knife nimble in his hand, sculpting a new puppet, a kind of Toby dog, to pop up and bark when required. When the knock comes, he whisks the head under covers, but "Oh, Lucy Bell," as Lucy slips inside, still cloaked against the cold. "My good angel, tell me you have what I'm needing?" "Oh, capital," unfolding the paper parcel, coiled wire and tiny, shiny beads. "Do I ask how you managed, or just offer my endless gratitude?" "It's bad out there," says Lucy soberly, stripping the holy gloves from her fingers, 2 pair for each hand, contrasting holes mated to keep as much skin covered as can be. "I had to go almost to Archenberg for the beads, and the Palais is closing up in earnest. I saw that turd Falk bundling mattresses onto a cart. Josie, one of the girls there, she's my friend from before. Josie says the soldiers are taking over their building to use it as a house in town. I saw 2 of them pissing in a corner of the yard, so maybe it's true." "Really?" Istvan's musing frown, threading a bead on the wire. "We should offer the brave boys a citizen's discount." Lucy gathers her gloves and cloak. "Will Pan Loudermilk be in the new show?" From the coffin closest to the door comes a rustling, chuckling, muttering noise, as if someone is knocking, greedy and keen, and hard to keep him out, says Istvan with a tender wink. "Or in. If our master's about in the hallways, darling, will you tell him that I want him?" Lucy gives him back the wink. "The whole world knows you want him. If I see him, I shall say. The whole world." "Well," he thinks as she slips from the room, "let them know, if only some are kept in darkness. Darkness is the watchword just now, as the performance comes to term. Lucy is in charge of the girls, trustworthy Lucy, the godsend, to take Puggy's place, Puggy, who has been tasked only with talking up the show while concealing its content. How can I tell what you've not told me? Jesus, why not just try the fucking blindfold and be done? Mystery makes the best drummer, Istvan soothes. And it is true that Puggy has drummed up a mighty interest, not coincidentally, among those who will be sure to take the Poppy side, the longtime tricks and supporters, as well as several in the hotel whom Istvan has himself informed. Omar, the bouncer, has been advised that he needs to be on the muscle and ready for anything. If he feels he must hire a Bravo or two, then he must do that without delay. For his part, Jonathan, the piano player, works to score the evening, a dark and tinkling tune suitable for Messalina's music box, perhaps, or Lilith's panpipes in the dark of the garden. As for Rupert, his mouse has been in the thick from the start, just as he used to be, everything but take to the stage himself, suggesting, correcting, defining, even scribbling a line here and there. We will spin them one story whilst they watch another, and let them parse it out for themselves. Are you up for a tumble? Are you? Jesting, teasing, light it hard enough to leap to the roof and touch the stars. Oh, this time they shall revel. Whip up the yokels while they put that old masher on stiff notice. Meanwhile, the knife pares patient at the wood, the nascent lines of the face that is mostly mouth, mainly hunger. This other knave of hearts, scraped and whittled and back into the sack until he will be ready for the light. All week, the town has heard from the hills the growing mutter of the guns. The stream of departing citizens has swelled, then slowed, the remainder having chosen apparently to wait out the storm, at least while conditions are bearable, in the hectic air of making do. Water the tea, use ash to wash the spoons, stash every stub and penny. Bear grease will do for pork fat in a pinch. The livery is still open, the train still runs, even the Gaiety Theater still plays, although on a somewhat reduced schedule. The champagne at last has run dry. The Palais sits abandoned, unchosen after all as a soldier's garrison, inhabited only by twos and threes as a parlor for the alley whores, whose population has fared hardest, being used and used and used to death. At the hotel, amenities are scarcer, tempers shorter, the cuisine noticeably more tedious. As the mayor collects his evening's guests for the show at the Poppy, unattended this night by Mr. Franz, his attaché, he must dodge a fracas in the very lobby, apologizing to the trio he leads. Gentlemen, this town is chasing its own tail. It will be darker before the dawn, won't it, General? As that worthy nods, stern and gracious in his fresh pressed uniform, the last of the laundry starch, but not more gracious than the mayor himself, burying the hatchet in the company of not only the general, but Mr. Aerosmith and Jürgen Wieder, all four up front and center, as Decca, white-faced in black velvet, herself serves them pheasant and baked hen, the best cullings of the line. After this, they will be reduced to raw gin and whiskey. No one would know that from her welcome, making a point to press the mayor's hand as we are so very pleased and honored that you have chosen to be here tonight, she says as Jürgen Wieder lifts his glass, including in his toast the general, who returns his nod in a friendly fashion. Jürgen Wieder, it has been noted, has left his bodyguard behind once more, unneeded at the Poppy, a neutral state of cordon sanitaire. Safe himself behind the curtains, Puggy watches the byplay, Puggy in the know at last, and a little way-faced himself. I thought you said, to Lucy, trussed tonight in feathers and beads, that old cunt Vida was down on the max. Istvan says so, yes. And we're getting our scratch from him. You'd know more of that than me. So why in the fuck are we flouting him? And the mayor too? Dabbing at his neck, he is sweating already. Is Mr. Rupert going soft in the head as he grows harder in the prick? Why don't we just burn down the building and be done with it, and kick ourselves in the box while we... Puggy, says a voice in his ear, a whispering, chuckling, insinuating voice that frights him forward half a foot. Pan Loudermilk's voice, and Istvan's merry gaze behind it, done up like a parson in pious black, white plague mask and round head hat, and, oh ye of little faith, he says to Puggy, must I sick the bishop on you? Mr. Rupert is a certified genius. Trust him if you trust nothing else. Have you our maestro's cue? To start the introduction, Jonathan to play a sweet etude as the plates are gathered and cigars ignited, the general smoking thin Indian cheroots like Rupert's. Here is Rupert. His chair is empty, as all notice, but none remark. It is not until the prelude floats into its last glissando that he appears from backstage, swift and dark and flawless, to take his seat between the mayor and Jürgen Wieder, who immediately makes some trivial remark, mere pretext to lean closer, that Rupert answers with a non-committal nod, turning then with a grave and courteous smile to the mayor, who replies with one as friendly, "I'm surely looking forward to your young ladies tonight, sir. I greatly hope the performance will please you." As Jonathan's piano takes up an eerie, chiming waltz, Laddie wandering on stage alone, his dark suit and bright linen twin to Rupert's. Jürgen Wieder's hand open and closes gently on his knee. "What price love?" says Laddie, half speech, half song. He does not have a voice for singing, but can place the words as an actor does, giving them weight, aiming them into the darkness before him, as from behind him Pearl appears, ethereal and pale gauze that barely shields her nakedness, hair loose down her back like an angel's, but no angel ever twined so naughtily about a mortal man as she does Laddie, nor pressed angelic lips so close to skin and flesh. "What price bliss?" asks Laddie louder, and here comes Vera. Bare legs and dark lace, she makes a swooning face as she wraps her arms around Laddie from behind while aiming a sly ankle at her rival in gauze, a gesture that tweaks a laugh from the audience. It is a full house tonight, expectant but unsure. Soldiers line the wall by the doors, but as yet they have been quiet or quiet enough. Omar watches them, flanked by perspiring Puggy and a boy from town, all of them armed, Omar with his truncheon and a knife inside his vest, the boy with a stout stick of hickory that can break a bone if used correctly, Puggy with a tiny nickel-plated revolver with 2 bullets that is mostly for show. Even Velma is armed with an iron meat fork abstracted from the kitchen, though just now she is busy with the slops. Decca stands straight as a ramrod, arms folded, as if she herself is a weapon ready to be used. Last night she hardly slept, her eyes are dry and tireless. She watches Rupert. She watches for Istvan, whose feline high spirits have disturbed her all week. "When do you go?" she asks him again and again. "It is dangerous here for you. Can you not understand?" "It is dangerous everywhere," his smiling shrug. "There's a war on, yeah. Stop fretting. We know what we're about. We, all of us.